Today is the International Women's Day, and here in Kenya, celebrations to mark this important day were held at Nairobi's Uhuru Park as well as the Kenyatta International Convention Center. Let's now bring in our reporter Zinzi Kibiku, who has been following the details. Now, Zinzi, what is today's theme, and if you can just bring us to speed about the celebrations here in Kenya. The First Lady Margaret Kenyatta just concluded, her remarks on the same.
Well, Ben, that's right. Earlier on at Uhuru Park, that's where a march began. The march was ended at KICC later on during morning hours around 11 a.m. That was to officially kickstart International Women's Day celebrations right here in Nairobi. And like you said, later on, that marching ended at KICC, where we had the likes of Her Excellency Margaret Kenyatta coming to give her speech, Cecilia Kariuki, the CES of Public and the Youth Service. We also had Director General Sahele Wak, who also spoke on behalf of the UN, just to mention a few of the people who were present. Now, the likes of KEWAPA, who are represented by the Embu Governor Cecilia Mbarire, who, by the way, has declared her wanting to run for governor, spoke on the issue of having more women at leadership roles, especially within the country's political arena. This has just come a few months back in January when we saw Cecilia Kariuki and her team of parliament women wanting to push for the two-third gender role that was supposed to be part of the table conversation when parliament began off this year. We do not know how that is going so far, but back on International Women's Day, that was what happened here in Kenya just to commemorate this day. Ben, allow me to just give you a few statistics of how this day is important for women across the globe. Just here in Kenya, 70% of crop production and 50% of animal husbandry is done by women. And despite the economic efforts that they do put in here in Kenya, they're not recognized. The gap between women and men payroll is quite scary. That's why most of the women are calling for a balance when it comes to equality, not from economic to social to development platforms. Ben, this is something that the UN is also pushing for. In fact, one of the themes for this year is pledging towards equality for women across all social platforms, Ben.
Yeah, Zinzi, as you mentioned there, the International Women's Day is looking another 15 years to that World Gender Equality Goals. That is what it is themed around the world. What are some of maybe goals for the Kenya chapter maybe?
Well, Ben, one goal for Kenya women, and one that is actually reflect across the globe, is the issue of education and how women, or specific girls, are involved when it comes to education. Ben, 2 out of 3 girls who join Standard 1 here in Kenya only do not get a chance to finish to Form 4. Now, when education within a country, especially towards women or girls, is not fully utilized, it kind of reflects back on the economic development. For example, if we are going to sustain Vision 2030, one of the key goals is to have quality education for both boys and girls. It's one of the SDG goals that we saw back in New York when they were signing them, also here in Kenya with Vision 2030. So education is one of the key pillars that they are looking to make sure that girls across Kenya, across Africa, across the globe can actually attain proper, free and quality education. And that's just one of them. There's also the issue of women having in rural areas, are they able to get clean and proper medical attention, food, health, things that we take for granted, Ben. But for them, those are things that they're also making sure to attain to. KEWAPA, UN, even Her Excellency, for the fact that more women need to be given more roles and more important roles for that note to make sure that these problems by women, for women, are actually solved, Ben.
Zinzi, before I let you go, anything that stood out from the First Lady's address today, maybe?
Indeed, Ben, there's something that stood out towards the end of her speech. She launched what is known as National Action Plan. The National Action Plan kind of breaks down about 5 key pillars on how to achieve gender equality within Kenya. That is what she launched today after her speech, alongside Cecilia Kariuki, CS of Youth here in Kenya, Ben.